In this video, we'll look at 30 phrasal verbs with the verb get. Some of these phrasal verbs have more than one definition, so make sure you have a notebook ready and write down any you are unfamiliar with, and try to use at least one the next time you are speaking with someone in English, or down below in the comments. Our first phrasal verb is get about, and this is more commonly used in British English as opposed to American English. There are two main definitions. The first is to move about or be active. For example, he's had trouble getting about since his bad fall last month. Our second definition is to be socially active. This example says, it took me a couple of months before I started getting about after I moved to a new city. Here we have get across, and it has one main definition, and that's to make someone understand or believe something. This example says, he had difficulty getting across his message during the meeting. Our phrasal verb get ahead means to make progress in your work or to become successful. For example, she worked hard to get ahead in her career. Our phrasal verb here, to get along, has two main definitions. The first is to have a friendly relationship. For example, I get along with most of my coworkers, but a couple of them rub me the wrong way. If someone rubs you the wrong way, that means they bother you in some way. The next definition is to manage to live or survive. This says I'm having a hard time getting along on my current salary. Our phrasal verb to get around means to go or travel to many places. This example says, I used to get around by bike before buying a car. Our second definition is when news is told to many people. This says word got around that the company will downsize. When word gets around, we say like a rumor or news spreads to many people. We also have the definition to find a way to deal with a problem or to avoid it. We hired a professional to help us get around paying high taxes. A tax professional is someone you give money to, not to help you cheat on your taxes, but to find loopholes and special rules that you can take advantage of so you don't have to pay higher taxes. And our last definition is to have sexual relations with several different people. People gossip that he gets around, but they are really exaggerating. Our phrasal verb to get at has two main definitions. The first is to reach or gain access to something. I can't get at the cookie jar without a stepladder because it's too high up. Our next definition is to imply or suggest something indirectly. This example sentence says, I don't know what you are getting at with your comments. Our phrasal verb to get away has three main definitions. The first is to escape. This sentence says, the thieves got away in a stolen police car. Our second definition is to leave a place such as work. This job is awful. I should find a new job and get away from here. And our third definition is to have a trip. I'm planning to get away next week. I promise myself I won't check any work emails during my trip. Our phrasal verb to get away with something means to do something bad and not get criticized or punished for it. For example, he thought he could get away with cheating on the exam, but he was caught and got in trouble. Next here we have get back, and this has three main definitions. The first is to return to a place after you leave. She's meeting with a client in another city, and she won't get back until late this evening. Our second definition is to receive or have something again after it was taken, lent, or lost. I left my briefcase at a cafe and got it back the next day. And our last definition is used to tell someone to move away because they are in danger. Get back. That rattlesnake looks like it is ready to strike. Next up, we have get back at someone. And this means to do something unpleasant or mean to someone because they did something unpleasant or mean to you. This example says, I'll get back at him for embarrassing me in front of our colleagues. Next here we have get back to, and this means to call, write, or speak to someone at a later time because you are busy. I'll get back to you shortly after lunch. Or to return to a state or condition that someone or something was before. After the storm started, I couldn't get back to sleep. To get back into has two main definitions. The first is to start doing something after not doing it for a period of time. I'm trying to get back into cycling. I haven't ridden my bike in ages. And to return to a state of good health or condition. It took me months to get back into shape after putting on weight following a car accident. Right here we have the phrasal verb to get behind, and there are two main definitions for this. The first is to fail to do as much work or pay as much money as you should by a particular time. For example, we're getting behind in our credit card payments. We need to make some adjustments to our current lifestyle. And to support someone or something, a majority of senators from both parties got behind President Biden's infrastructure bill. Our phrasal verb get by means to be able to live or deal with a situation by having very little of what you need, most usually money. This example says, our family has struggled to get by as the cost of living rises. To get down means to write something somewhere. For example, our professor went over a lot during the lecture. Did you get everything down? And our last definition of get down is to lower your head and body to avoid being hit. When the golf ball was heading toward him, he quickly got down to avoid getting hit. To get somebody down means to make someone feel sad or lose hope. His constant negativity was really getting me down, so I decided to limit my interactions with him. To get down to something means to start doing something seriously or with a lot of effort. I finally got down to creating more YouTube videos for my channel after taking a short break. Our phrasal verb to get in means to arrive at work or home. There was an accident on the road on my way to work, and I didn't get in until 9:15. To get in on means to become involved with something. I was really excited when my friend invited me to get in on a potentially profitable investment. Here we have the phrasal verb get into, and there are three main definitions. The first is to start enjoying something or to become enthusiastic about it. This says, I used to read only nonfiction books, but I got into reading fantasy novels a few years ago. The second definition is to be accepted to a school or university. She got into the University of Michigan and will start taking courses there this fall. Our third definition of get into is to become involved in a bad situation. We talk about getting into a fight, getting into an argument, getting into trouble, or getting into difficulty. This example says, in middle school, he used to always get into trouble, but he's really turned a corner since starting high school. To turn a corner means you improve your life in some positive way. Our phrasal verb to get off has three main definitions. The first is to leave a train, bus, or airplane. We need to get off at the next station. Our second definition is to leave work or not go to work with permission. I get off at 7 tonight. Do you want to go out for dinner? And our third is to avoid punishment. A police officer pulled me over for speeding, but I got off with only a warning. Means the police officer told me to drive more slowly and didn't write me a ticket. Our phrasal verb to get on has two main definitions. The first is to get into a bus, train, or plane. We got on the high-speed train and arrived in Kaohsiung in under an hour. And the second definition is more commonly used in British English, and that's to have a good relationship. I get on well with all of my neighbors. To get on with means to start or continue doing something, especially work. We need to get on with our project if we hope to finish on time. Our phrasal verb get out has three main definitions. The first is to leave a building or car. As I was driving, I smelled something burning, so I immediately pulled over, turned off the engine, and got out. Our second definition is to go to different places, spend time with others, and enjoy yourself. We're spending too much time at home. We should really get out more. And our third definition is to become known, and we use this when talking about a secret. The embarrassing truth about his on-set behavior got out. Here we have the phrasal verb get out of, and it has two main definitions. The first is to avoid doing something. He's always looking for a way to get out of helping around the house. And our second definition is to stop being involved in something. She decided to get out of teaching and start her own business. Our phrasal verb get over something has two main definitions. The first is to get better after having an illness or to get better after feeling sad. I caught COVID right after Christmas, and it took me about a week to fully get over it. The second definition is to accept an unpleasant fact or situation after dealing with it for a while. It took her several weeks to get over her grandmother's death. Here we have the phrasal verb to get through, and there are four main definitions. First is to communicate with someone, especially by telephone. I've been trying to get through to customer service for over an hour. Our second definition is to deal with a difficult or unpleasant experience or to help someone deal with a difficult or unpleasant experience. For example, I don't know how she manages to get through such long shifts day after day. Our third definition is to finish something. For example, some of the students complained about how long our midterm was when I passed it out, but they all got through it in less than a half hour. And our fourth definition is to be understood or believed, or to cause someone to understand or believe you. I don't seem to be able to get through to him. Our phrasal verb get to has three main definitions. The first is to arrive at or reach a destination. We have to get to the airport before noon to catch our flight. Our second definition is to begin doing something or to start to deal with something. For example, I'm going to get to work on my essay right after lunch. And our third definition is to have an opportunity to do something. I got to go sailing last weekend. It was an incredible experience. To get to someone means to annoy or upset someone by persistent action, means to do something that bothers them again and again. He's a nice guy, but his bad jokes really get to me. To get up means to rise from a position of sitting or laying down. I get up at 6 o'clock most mornings. Thank you for joining me here today. I hope at least one of these phrasal verbs were new to you. If you found this video helpful, hit those outstanding like and subscribe buttons. See you in the future.